All right, what's up, everybody? It's been a minute since I've did a video doing one in my basement here. Hopefully, my microphone stays on. I seem like I say that each time I do a video. Um, Probably because I need to charge the microphone pretty soon. I got probably two more videos in the queue. I've had a little bit of time off, some personal related issues, health wise. I know I kind of mentioned that on a previous upload of mine. I'm going to go in a little bit more depth on kind of what occurred and what has transpired since the bone marrow biopsy and kind of plans forward. So that'll be another topic. This one is, I've recently tried to get back into the dating game a little bit, maybe some online dating. I know I went through a digital detox. That went well. I decided to get back on Facebook, at least do the Facebook dating app. In my opinion, I thought it was probably the best one for responsiveness. Um, and it didn't seem like the algorithm worked against you if you didn't pay, right? There's no like pay feature on Facebook. And I've had pretty good success. So something that I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if I'm sure some other people have talked about this too. Um, is I wrote down some notes here using AI as a wingman. I say wingman, but helping you um, try to, I wouldn't say write your profile, right? I mean, you can obviously help you with your bio. We can get into that. Your photos are your photos, right? Always recommend, getting a tripod, going with a friend, and then doing some photos, or even if you wanted to spend $1,000, $1,500, do some professional photos. I've done that in the past. That seems to help. Occasionally, though, you can have too good of photos where they may think that you're being catfished in a sense. So I might briefly check this on occasion, but should be all right. Again, this is just recorded on my iPhone. Like I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time editing these things. I'll splice it down, maybe splice it here and there if I can, if I got time. Put a thumbnail on it and then go with it. Right, it's kind of a vlog of mine. I don't know if people were subscribed or even like the video. Doesn't matter. It's kind of fun for me to do and talk about. So getting into the dating is part one here that I kind of wrote down is dating as an assistant, right? Having AI as a dating assistant more than a wingman, right? It can get you out of some pinches, right? You may match with somebody and you're not sure how to open, right? Maybe there's nothing you really notice in their photos, or maybe you have something in common or uncommon. Trying to figure that out. I have done this, and my idea was to maybe do a little more elaborate video with my computer and kind of show you some of the examples I've done. Maybe I'll do that later on, but you can like screenshot kind of what they're saying in their bio, maybe a photo or two, and be like, hey, what do I say here? What's a good opener? Make it fun, flirty, and it gives you a pretty good response, right? I've used ChatGPT probably the most for this. Gives you a solid response, right? And then you can critique it like, nah, that's too much. How about this? How about this? Or you can even write something and you throw it out there to them, to AI, and it will edit it for you the way you might would like to phrase it, but maybe you just really can't at that time. Maybe you're in a pinch. You can do it on your phone, right? That's the good things about this. Um, so I've definitely done that with a lot of openers, and once it opens, you can get a conversation going on. And if I use AI, I try to match it to my personality the best I can. If you get stumped, the idea with the dating app is to get them off and onto your phone through texting, right? And then from there, it's usually a little easier to kind of pick up the conversation on your own. But it's good, if you don't know how to respond properly, can't think of something to respond with, or you kind of want to respond in a funny, flirty way, but you're not sure how to do that. It will give you ideas, right? It can give you a couple different prompts or ideas or suggestions you can use, right? Just my suggestion would be to read them carefully, because it can make mistakes. It can come off a little bit weird. in a way, right? So, and a couple of these things that I've mentioned on here, I haven't really done this really yet, but ideas, planning dates, what can you do together, things like that. So, recently on another video I'm going to share is kind of trying to get the ex-girlfriend back after they reached out. I was like, okay, what I want to do is have them come over maybe for a date idea. Obviously, you don't do this with a new girl, but they come over like an ex, right? And you want to cook them dinner, or you cook dinner together. It's like, what are some easy things we can cook together? And it gave me a good, range from like tacos to flatbreads, right? And I like the flatbread idea, getting two flatbreads, making that up. And then from there, it was like you're having a conversation with somebody. It's like, hey, do you want to give you flatbread, you know, ingredients and ideas? Yeah, sure. Give me a list of pizzas you can make. All right. Can you want a grocery list? Yeah, perfect. I want a grocery list. Awesome. Well, what about games or anything else you want to do after? It's like, yeah, I want to do some games that are interactive. That's not too pressure related, right? So mentioning Jenga, and I was like, all right, I like Jenga. It's like, well, you could spice it up. And this is kind of conversation I'm having back and forth, right? You texting or voice to talk with them, that hey, maybe with Jenga you can make and get a blank Jenga set and you can write questions on there or a number with associated to a question on a sheet. I didn't quite get that far with it, but that was a good idea. So it can help you spur good ideas, first date ideas, right? I don't think we're there far enough where you're going to put an earpiece in. You're going to have Chat GBT listen to your conversation and help give you prompts, but it's definitely can help people keep the carry conversation going on if you get stumped. Obviously, it does have some downfalls I can see, right, with how things may go in the future, right? There's catfishing already is bad enough. So if you're having these flirty, funny, intelligent responses all the time, and then you meet them in person and you're not quite like that, it could definitely throw them off and they could figure it out, right? This may be more of a prevalent thing as we go on down the road here in the next couple years, um, especially as AI adapts and gets more intelligent. And I think in a couple years, supposedly be more intelligent than us. But I think it's a tool, right? I look at it as a tool, like anything else that you would. This is still green. Yep. Um, so it's fantastic, right? So utilize it. I've just we're only scratching the surface, as a general public. I'm sure, there's people that's in IT and in the government and some other agencies and people a lot smarter than me and that can, utilize AI a lot more efficiency, right? We're using what we can to try to get laid, right? We're using AI technology, which can be definitely crazy. Um, but use it as a sounding board, if you can, right? If you don't have anybody to talk to or give you advice. A lot of my friends are in relationships, or in healthy relationships, right? But the advice they may give you may not be what you need to hear, right? Everybody kind of has that illusion of the Disney fairy tale. I was very impressed with a lot of the responses that ChatGPT gave, especially when I get into more detail on another video of kind of asking questions with how my ex was responding to my messages and kind of filling out the vibe, and it, obviously you may be biased and you may be looking at it with like, blinders on, but it definitely reiterated some of the stuff that I was thinking. Obviously I don't think I can read my mind, but it definitely was intelligent enough to really, hit the nail on the head, right? Um so yeah, I mean, it's a good tool. Just don't abuse it. Um, don't get into like having it, filter your photos or something outrageous like that. But if you meet a girl, you match with a girl, and it's like, okay, what do I open with? Because a lot of the girls are pretty boring, right? They may be attractive, but then there isn't much on your bio to go off on. Isn't a whole lot in their photos, maybe. How do I get a good opener or pickup, right? That's kind of how I utilize it. And then from there, with other video, I'm going to break down a little bit more in depth than this one. On how you can do for date ideas, how you can kind of put their responses in and then give it feedback of like, is this is what I'm feeling like, this is what she's meaning or how she's feeling and interpreting, and kind of use it as a definitely as a sounding board for sure. But it can definitely enhance your dating experience. Obviously, you still have to have interpersonal skills, social skills, be able to talk, formulate sentences, ask questions, listen, all that stuff when you meet them in person and actually go on that date to carry on and have multiple dates, right? You still have to work on those skills, right? I think using AI for like dating apps are fine if it's controlled, right? But we're opening Pandora's box, in my opinion. Um, I still feel like you have the best success showing your confidence if you meet somebody in person, get their number there, and then carry a conversation on. Then from there, maybe if you wanted to use a little bit of just like, hey, this is kind of the stuff she's saying. What does this mean? Do you think, you know, or even date ideas, right? You don't want to go over that in depth. Maybe it's just like, hey, games or date ideas in your local area, and have it kind of help be your be your dating coach a little bit in that aspect. So that's really the gist of this video. I wanted to break that down. I think it was interesting. I don't even know how I even thought about doing that. Um, yeah, I don't even know. Just thinking maybe. I mean, I use AI a lot for work, and I think it was just like, well, I'll just see what it says, right? And just kind of curiosity killed the cat, and here we are. And it's definitely a tool that you can use outside of dating, right? For professional reasons or family reasons or anything like that. I've used AI a lot for definitely current medical situations and things that I've been going back and forth with the doctor, and some of the terms, some of the tests we've been doing. It's really good to kind of copy and paste, not really your reports, right? You don't want to get that out, but just like highlighting key terms and just having it do your research for you, right? You're kind of using it as a Google search, but it kind of gives you a little bit more palatable format to read. And a lot of times it does cite, most of the time it does cite sources, so you can even back up those sources. So yeah, using AI as your wingman, your dating coach, your sounding board when it comes to the opposite sex. Don't knock it until you try it, but be careful. It's kind of giving a baby a loaded gun, I think. So it's going to be interesting to see how AI gets embedded into some of these dating apps. I'm sure it will. Kind of like how Gronk is with X. So with that, I'll let you guys go. But yeah, expect to see a couple more videos. If you guys watch this, go to my channel, subscribe, like the video, make a comment. If you don't, that's fine too. I'm not doing this for any kind of monetary or purposes, as you can tell, but just something to do, something kind of fun. So appreciate you guys watching if you're still here, and I'll see you later.